Welcome to G Fun Facts Online. Today we're talking about the end of an era. In November 2025, the final US penny was minted, closing a chapter on a coin that has been in American pockets for over 200 years. This wasn't a sudden decision, but the result of a long, heated debate. The simple truth is, the penny became too expensive to be worth it. Its demise sets off a chain reaction across the entire economy, from government savings to how you pay for your morning coffee. So what happens now that America is a nation without its smallest cent? The order to stop making pennies came in February 2025. The reason was pure economics. For nearly 2 decades, it cost more to make a penny than its 1 cent face value. By 2024, the cost to produce a single penny had climbed to a staggering 3.7 cents. This difference between a coin's value and its production cost is called negative seigniorage. For the US Mint, it meant losing millions of dollars every year. By halting production, the US Treasury estimates it will save an immediate $56 million annually. While the mints have stopped, the penny is still legal tender. There are an estimated 250 billion pennies still out there, sitting in jars, under couch cushions, and in circulation. They will still be accepted in transactions, but their numbers will slowly fade away. This means we've all had to get used to a new way of handling cash, rounding to the nearest nickel. To understand the weight of this decision, we need to look back at the penny's rich history. The story of the 1 cent piece is woven into the fabric of the United States itself. It was one of the very first coins authorized by the Mint Act of 1792. These first pennies, made of pure copper as suggested by Benjamin Franklin, were much larger and heavier than the ones we know. They featured a powerful symbol for a new nation, the figure of liberty with flowing hair. Over the centuries, the penny changed with the times. The famous Indian head penny appeared in 1859 and was a common sight for 50 years. Then, in 1909, to mark Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday, the Lincoln cent was introduced. This was a huge deal. It was the first time a real historical figure, not an allegorical one, appeared on a circulating US coin. Even the back of the Lincoln cent tells a story, changing from wheat ears to the Lincoln Memorial, and finally to the Union Shield, symbolizing Lincoln's role in preserving the nation. The metal composition of the penny also tells a story of economic pressure. During World War II, a copper shortage led the mint to produce pennies made of zinc-coated steel in 1943. If you ever find one of these steel pennies, you've got a neat piece of history. By 1982, the rising price of copper again forced a change. The penny became what it has been until the end, a zinc core with just a thin plating of copper. This constant evolution shows that the penny's value and cost have always been a subject of economic debate. It's also become part of our culture. We say a penny for your thoughts, or a penny saved is a penny earned. For many, it holds sentimental value, a link to a simpler time. This cultural attachment is a major reason why the debate over getting rid of it was so long and passionate. So let's break down that great penny debate. It was a classic case of pragmatic economics versus tradition and social concerns. The case for eliminating the penny was built on a simple, powerful fact. It was a waste of taxpayer money. For 19 straight years, it cost more to make a penny than it was worth. In its final full year of production, 2024, it cost 3.7 cents per coin, resulting in a loss of over $85 million for the US Mint. Proponents of elimination argued this was an unnecessary government subsidy for a coin that had lost almost all its purchasing power. But the cost wasn't just in production. Think about the hidden costs in time and productivity. Cashiers and customers spending seconds counting out pennies. The fuel and effort to transport billions of these tiny metal discs every year, and the fact that many pennies are used once and then stashed away in a jar forever. Some economists calculated that if you spend more than just a couple of seconds handling pennies in a transaction, the value of your time already outweighs the value of the cents themselves. Then there's the environmental argument. Mining zinc and copper is an energy-intensive process that can release pollutants. One of the largest zinc mines in the US, a key source for penny production, has been a major polluter. Add to that the carbon emissions from transporting billions of coins. From this perspective, producing a coin with virtually no spending power was an environmental burden we could no longer justify. But the defense of the penny was just as passionate. Lobbying groups like Americans for Common Sense raised serious concerns. Their central argument was the fear of a rounding tax that would hit low-income households the hardest. Since these families are more likely to use cash, they would be most affected by prices being rounded to the nearest nickel. The argument goes that businesses would be more likely to round prices up than down, creating a hidden tax on consumers. A study in Canada after they eliminated their penny seemed to support this, suggesting that rounding resulted in a transfer of millions of dollars from consumers to grocery stores each year. Charities were another major concern. Many organizations, from the Salvation Army to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, rely on penny drives and collection jars for fundraising. The fear was that eliminating the penny would dry up this stream of small but collectively significant donations. And finally, there was the simple argument of tradition. Polls on the issue were often split, but a significant number of Americans consistently said they wanted to keep the penny. It's a familiar piece of Americana, and that sentimental value played a huge role in keeping the coin in production for so long, even when the economic case against it was overwhelming. Now that the penny is gone from production, how does the post-penny economy actually work? The most immediate change for everyone is rounding for cash transactions. It's important to note this only applies to cash. If you pay with a card or electronically, the charge is still to the exact cent. For cash, the common guideline is to round to the nearest 5 cents. If your total ends in a 1 or 2, it's rounded down. If it ends in a 3 or 4, it's rounded up. Totals ending in 6 or 7 are also rounded down to the nearest 5, while those ending in 8 or 9 are rounded up. For example, a total of $1.22 becomes $1.20. A total of $1.23 becomes $1.25. Over many transactions, the theory is that it should all even out. However, the rollout wasn't perfectly smooth. There was no single federal law mandating exactly how rounding must be done. This left some businesses, especially in states with specific pricing laws, in a state of confusion. To avoid any potential legal trouble, some retailers chose to always round down. That's great for the customer, but it cuts directly into the business profit margin. Most businesses had to update their point-of-sale systems to automate the rounding, another cost of the transition. So what about that rounding tax? Is it real? Some studies suggest it is, but the effect is small. A study from the Federal Reserve Bank of Richmond estimated the total cost to U.S. consumers from rounding could be around $6 million a year. While that's far less than the $56 million saved by not making pennies, the cost isn't distributed evenly. Low-income individuals who use cash more frequently are likely to bear a larger share of that burden. However, other analyses and the real-world experience of other countries suggest the impact on overall inflation is negligible. The banking and retail sectors also had to adapt. Banks used to handle billions of pennies every year. Now, the Federal Reserve is slowly closing the coin terminals that process them. This has made it harder for some banks and retailers to get or deposit pennies, leading to localized shortages even before production officially stopped. This forced some stores to start rounding early, or even offer customers small incentives to bring in their spare change. The United States is not a pioneer in this. We can look at other nations to see how this plays out. Canada stopped minting its penny back in 2012 for the exact same reasons: rising costs and declining value. Their transition was relatively smooth. The government provided clear rounding guidelines, And while charities were initially worried, many adapted successfully. They ran last penny drives to collect the now obsolete coins, often raising significant funds. Overall, the economic impact in Canada has been minimal, with no measurable effect on inflation. Australia and New Zealand went even earlier, getting rid of their 1 and 2 cent coins in the early 1990s. The public reaction there was generally positive, and the switch to rounding was accepted with little fuss. In fact, for them, it was seen as a logical first step towards the increasingly cashless societies they are today. The experiences of these countries strongly suggest that while there are initial adjustments, the long-term economic doom and gloom scenarios just don't materialize. With the penny gone, the spotlight naturally turns to the next coin in line, the nickel. The 5-cent piece is also in a state of negative seigniorage. In 2024, it cost nearly 14 cents to produce a single nickel. The arguments for and against eliminating it are very similar to the penny debate. The high production cost is a strong motivator. However, the consequences of getting rid of the nickel would be more significant. If we eliminated the nickel, cash transactions would have to be rounded to the nearest dime. This would magnify the rounding tax problem. Some estimates suggest this could cost cash-using consumers up to $56 million annually. There's also a strange paradox. Eliminating the penny is expected to increase the demand for nickels to make change, which could actually increase the total cost for the U.S. Mint, as they lose even more money on every nickel they produce. The debate over the nickel's future is already happening in Congress, but its fate is far from decided. The economic benefits would have to be weighed very carefully against the higher costs to consumers and the logistical challenges of another major shift in our currency. The elimination of a coin is not new in American history. To find a precedent, we only need to look back to 1857, when Congress discontinued the half-cent coin. Just like the penny in the 21st century, the half-cent in the mid-19th century had been ravaged by inflation. Its purchasing power had shrunk so much that it was no longer a useful piece of currency. The same Coinage Act of 1857 that killed the half-cent also authorized a new, smaller 1-cent coin to replace the large, heavy copper cents of the time. The decision was driven by rising copper prices and the desire for a more modern, efficient currency system. The transition away from the half-cent was smooth, with little public outcry. The story of the half-cent teaches us a valuable lesson: currency has to adapt to economic reality. A coin that has lost its purpose becomes a burden, not a benefit. The end of the U.S. penny is a major moment in the history of American money. It was a decision driven by simple logic, but its effects are complex. We're all adjusting to a system of rounding, and the long-term impacts on pricing, charities, and the economy will continue to unfold. The penny's story is a testament to how money evolves. In an age of digital payments and rapid technological change, the role of physical cash is being redefined. Eliminating the penny wasn't just about saving money, it was about modernizing our currency for a 21st century economy. As the old copper-plated coins slowly disappear from our lives, we're left to wonder what's next. With the nickel's production cost far exceeding its face value, it seems likely that more changes are on the horizon. The end of the penny isn't just the closing of one chapter. It's the start of a new one in the ongoing story of the money we use every day. Thanks for listening to G Fun Facts Online.